The Kerch Strait Bridge, also known as the Crimea Bridge, suffers sabotage. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. Overnight, another major escalation took place in the Russia-Ukraine war. A blast cut 2 lanes of the roadway portion of the Kerch Strait Bridge between Crimea and the rest of Russia. The blast also set fire to at least 5 railroad fuel tank cars on the railroad span, charring that span. This was a deliberate measure by the Ukrainians, who in fact seems to have boasted of the blast. Now Vladimir Putin must feel that he must retaliate with greater force or lose face in a critical way. That would go double if anything further were to happen to that bridge. Before I give further details, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views, link in the description. Be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of good merchandise there, including this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which reads, "I need new conspiracies as all the old ones came true." Now, one more thing. If you like or at least appreciate what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep those videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do. Well, there might be a problem with Russian rubles or especially Ukrainian currency. I don't know. Now then, I have deliberately avoided taking any reportage from any legacy media source like the Washington Post, the New York Times, or National Public Radio. I have a primary source, which is the Telegram channel of called Intel Slava Z. I have a link in the description to that channel, and also to the first message on that channel that refers to the explosion and fire on the Kerch Strait Bridge. Now, for those of you who have never heard of it, the Kerch Strait Bridge, also known as the Crimea Bridge, spans the Kerch Strait between Crimea and the rest of Russia. It consists of 2 roadway spans and a railway span, with columns to support them. The railway span rides higher than the other 2, and the middle of the roadway spans exists as a suspension bridge. Besides the road and rail traffic, the bridge also carries a natural gas pipeline and electrical and, I believe, telecommunications connection. Vladimir Putin's Russia built the bridge after Russia formally annexed Crimea. Now, besides what I have from Intel Slava Z, Mr. Nick Waters put together a thread with his own pictures, footage, and insights. I have links in the description to 11 tweets from him. In the middle of his thread, he says that while he is not a demolition expert, he has had some demolition training, and as he put it, has watched a lot of things blow up. From his insights and from the messages and their timestamps from Intel Slava Z, I have pieced together my best shot at a version of this event. The explosion seems to have occurred at midnight Eastern Daylight Savings Time. That would make it 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern European Summertime, Kiev time. It would also be 6 o'clock a.m. Moscow time because Russia has already reverted to its standard time. A truck, apparently carrying high explosives, detonated on the Crimea-bound lane of the roadway. Mr. Waters gives latitude and longitude at 45.300105 north, 36.513240 east. The force of that explosion is the equivalent of anywhere from several hundred kilograms to several tons of TNT. That last is the best guess of someone in law enforcement who spoke to Intel Slava Z. At the same time, a train carrying fuel was passing on the railroad span overhead and to the left of the road from the point of view from the direction of travel. The explosion collapsed 2 lanes of the roadway, and they fell into the Kerch Strait. If you click through to the article, you can see that. It also set fire to a railroad tank car on the railroad span, and that fire set at least 4 other tankers on fire. Road traffic came to an immediate stop. Authorities immediately organized ferries to handle the road traffic and a parking lot with water supplies and sanitation facilities, presumably on the Russian side, because that's the side that would be blocked, because that's the side of the explosion. The blast caused no casualties among the train crew, but later, Intel Slavsky reported 3 fatalities on the bridge. 2 hours after the first footage came from the blast site, Mr. Mikhailo Podolyak, a ranking official in the office of President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, brazenly tweeted a picture of the collapsed roadway. The English text of the tweet reads, "Crimea, the bridge, the beginning," and goes on to demand a restoration of status quo ante the annexation of Crimea. Yeah, I have a link in the description to that tweet, which gives the man's name. It's spelled out in Cyrillic, so you might need to consult a good Cyrillic alphabet reference to transliterate it. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is as close to a boast as it gets. He just might as well have said, "We did it, look out, don't cross if you know it's good for you," yada, yada, yada. Before I get to efforts to restore traffic, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You're not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, and unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Now, whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities that company provides, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy for your future. Moving right along. 3 hours after the blast, emergency crews put the fire out. The Russian Ministry of Transport announced very rapid restoration of at least some traffic. Two-way road traffic resumed at 4:00 p.m. Moscow time and Kiev time by reversing travel direction in one intact lane. Now, anyone who has driven the Delaware Memorial Bridge or the Chesapeake Bay Bridge in Maryland or any of a number of other such bridges will know how bridge authorities can reverse direction on a lane. Rail traffic should be in full operation by the time you hear this. It was scheduled to resume at the bridge at 8:00 p.m. Moscow time. And if you click through to the article, you can see trains already pulling out on their way to the bridge. Now, Russia uses the Kerch Strait Bridge as part of their supply and reinforcement route to support their special military operation. The quick repairs mean that the interruption of supply and reinforcement will be minimal. Now, something else happened today that might or might not be significant. General Sergei Surovkin received a formal appointment as Commander-in-Chief of the Special Military Operation in Ukraine. According to the timestamp, this appointment came 6.5 hours after the Kerch Strait Bridge blast. More to the point, General Surovkin has a reputation. He doesn't play games. He commanded anti-ISIS operations in Syria and allegedly said that one should fight all out or go home. And he doesn't go home. The even larger point is that the Special Military Operation has never had a unified command until today. Now, already someone at Intel Slava Z has put out a message calling for massive retaliation. His point is that Putin built the Kerch Strait Bridge. Therefore, and I quote, if, after today's terrorist attack on the Crimean Bridge, organized by Ukrainian terrorists, no measures and decisive responses are taken, then this will be taken as weakness of the president himself. The Crimean Bridge is a symbol of the Putin era. The attempt on the Crimean Bridge is an attempt on Putin himself. In response to this terrorist attack, not a single bridge should remain in Ukraine. Unquote, Intel Slava Z. Thus far, the White House has said nothing about the blasts, but this White House has said many provocative things before today. This included proposing a new special U.S. military command for the Ukraine region. Now that in turn prompted Mr. Darrell L. Castle of Memphis, Tennessee, the former candidate for president in the Constitution Party, to wonder whether the inmates had taken over the insane asylum. He's wondered at something like this before. Nor is Ukrainian responsibility for the blast very far-fetched. Major General Dmytro Marchenko of the Ukrainian army threatened last June to destroy the bridge, according to the Daily Mail. This would in fact be part of a campaign Ukraine has always waged to starve out ethnic Russians in Crimea, the Donbass, Zaporozhye, and Kherson. Ethnic Russians in the latter three regions voted in plebiscites to join Russia formally, and Russia has since obliged. For now, traffic is moving again on the bridge, though less of it by necessity. Perhaps the ferries will continue to supplement the bridge. The Ministry of Transport has already let out contracts to repair the roadway span. But more to the point, Russia will escalate, if only to prevent any further attacks on the bridge. This attack could have been worse. The truck could have blown up during rush hour, with cars falling into the water, and even more people dying. And that anyone should boast of an attack like this goes to show the brutal standards of warfare that have always prevailed in the region. In that light, the appointment of General Surovikin looks less like a coincidence and more like a message. And I ask you to just imagine what that message is. Link in the description of the article to Intel Slava Z's channel and first message, so you know where to start reading, to Nick Waters' 11 tweets about what he saw and how he evaluates it, to Mr. Podolyak's tweet saying this is only the beginning, and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlives.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link and links to just about everything I've already said before vis-a-vis Ukraine. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.